Hey everybody, meeting up with Riley Hope. We're going to be discussing a lot of cool topics, including maybe how COVID-19 impacted search behavior, small business access to SEO, and how SEOs can be revitalized through different tools and stuff like that, plus a lot more. Riley works as an on-site SEO coordinator at various companies and been doing SEO for many years. So hope you enjoy the interview and let me know what you think about the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and to share this video. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Riley, for coming out here. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Can you tell people in this camera who you are?
So my name is Riley, or Riley Hope on Twitter and most social medias, and I am an SEO specialist and currently an SEO director at a small agency, and I specialize in SEO for small businesses and particularly like small to medium enterprises.
We were talking a little bit when you got here, how you got into SEO. So can you talk a little about what made you go into SEO? Anything interest you about it, or just?
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2017, so I was like a kid during like the dark ages of YouTube and Google and stuff, just to preface this. So I was doing internships online that were unpaid in like organic social media, primarily for nonprofits, which is essentially where they would just like take a group of like 15 to like 25-year-olds and be like, cool, you're managing this Facebook page now, and give us no direction. So I was actually like writing posts for like for a very small nonprofit based out of like the Midwest somewhere. And then I got onto Facebook, and then I saw like this small agency blowing up, and they were like being recommended by like every photographer and every like kind of artist, like creative person in this specific group. So I messaged who I saw was the founder of that, and then I was like, hey, is there any way that you could like give me any advice, any pointers? Like, I would be your intern for free. And then he was like, well, how would you like a contractor position, and we'll train you on SEO and stuff. So that's how it started.
Awesome. So you just messaged the person on Facebook, and the person was like, yeah, sure, come in next day or something like that?
Yeah, so it was started off as remote. I've actually only ever worked remote, so right. COVID didn't throw me for a spiral that way. So yeah, I just messaged him, and then he was talking to me for a little bit. Then it turned out like, I was his kid's age. We were just talking, and then so.
And you worked there for a little bit, or?
Yeah, I worked there for about, I want to say like 2.5 years. And then I met one of my managers who was actually based out of Scotland, which led me to do grad school overseas. So I did it online during COVID, and I wrote my dissertation about small businesses and SEO. So it's led me on a wild journey from there. And
you obviously, so you did your master's while you were doing SEO full time,
right?
Pretty much full time.
Yeah. So I started my master's while I was already a director at the agency that I'm still at right now, and then before that I did like my undergraduate thesis on SEO as well, but that was while I was with the previous company, and then I graduated actually during COVID with my bachelor's and now my master's.
Did your professors know anything about SEO or not?
No, so that's also been the fun part, especially going like into graduate school, because it's more like hands-on with your advisor and stuff, and I had to like explain to them like when they search something, all the different like factors that go into it, and like going through keyword research. I did a case study as part of my master's, so I had to go through everything that I was doing and explain why I needed to do it, not only to my advisor but of course for like the case study participants. And then I had to present like the ethics behind SEO to like an ethics board and go through like a whole thing. So it was really interesting.
What are the ethics behind SEO?
So I had to write down like, how data was saved, and, being in the US, it's not as big of a deal in the UK and stuff, as I found out. So, and just making sure that we're not intentionally like deceiving the algorithm. Like I just had to go like very like overhead with it, like defining like black hat SEO versus white hat and ethical, saying that we're following Google guidelines, things like that.
So it was like two-part. It was more some about like not manipulating the Google algorithm to benefit yourself over others, as well as not to manipulate the users by using the keyword data you have about them or the referral data.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was also just making sure like, what we're doing on the site and how that data is being collected is ethical. So, CRM management systems, so what are we using, to like how Google Meets is ethical, and how Google Docs, and I had to go through Google Slides, and then I use Canva to make presentations and like documents pretty, and just it makes it easier on the eyes to read, especially when you're presenting a lot of information like for Core Web Vitals. So I had to go through how Canva complies with GDPR and stuff like that. So it was very interesting to go through everything.
Yeah, GDPR I felt was much bigger like pre-2020, like probably the 2017 to 2020 time frame. And it kind of calmed down. I think they're actually looking for another solution. Maybe, I'm not sure if you're staying on top of it. I'm not really.
Yeah.
But I remember I had a business that collected a lot of data. It was like a CRM type of database type of solution. And I had to be like GDPR compliant, stuff like that. And it meant nothing. It meant really nothing. It's just like just listing a document, whatever. And it's another tangent that we have to get into. So you are a expert or master at ethical SEO, I guess, because of your. No, you wouldn't say that, but you did a report on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure,
cool.
I'll take that LinkedIn headline.
Yeah. So the question is, have you seen things recently, or has anything come up in your SEO career that you felt like, oh, this is definitely not ethical, that you want to talk about, or putting you on the spot?
No, I mean, so there's been a lot, like I've gotten into SEO Twitter, I think probably within the past year or so, definitely since my husband has been gone. I've just spent all my time on Twitter, and there's been some there's some SEOs who do target like small businesses, and I say the word target specifically for target. The SEO community is very quick, I found out, to call out those people, and you have to like kind of wonder, like, does this like get translated back, us like saying this person is spreading misinformation to the people that they're actually like targeting and looking at. I saw the tweet about Neil Patel, then like he sent out like an auto marketing email with like him dressed up as a doctor going like that, and then everyone was like, well, it's working for like his audience. And then the next tweet next to that was like, not everything he says is accurate though, and then a bunch of people agreeing and retweeting it. But it's like, does that get back to that actual small business who's taking everything that somebody says like verbatim?
What's interesting about Neil Patel is I've known him for a long time. We don't really stay in touch at all. I don't think I ever reached out to him anytime recently or ever. But I have pictures of him back in the old SEO conferences days. So I should probably post a picture of him, what he looked like when he first started, the little baby. We all look like babies when we first started. So, but he's doing well for himself. He has a great agency. He does rank for everything. So he's doing something right, but a lot of the information, like you said, not necessarily all 100% accurate. Also, sometimes he may copy, I guess, what people are writing on some level, which is not so ethical. But, I don't think, he doesn't look at the negativity, I guess, of what the SEO community is saying.
Yeah. I think like those content creators, like sometimes like they do put out like good things. Like I used one of Neil's like infographics in my dissertation. It's like easy to explain to people. Yeah. So, I think it's really like the all like covering phrase of SEO. It depends. Yeah. So it depends whether,
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEO community is great. We're all pretty much, how do you say, repurposing in the SEO world. Each other's content, each other's information. My big thing is to make sure to cite people, link to people. Although most of the community, people who are watching do, but most of the general community that's not part of the community, but they're doing their day-to-day practices. They're doing a client presentation, not going to necessarily cite, this is from Neil Patel or this is from, whatever website. So yeah. But, ethics determine you should actually cite things and so forth. Although when Google first released feature snippets, they didn't cite the feature snippet.
Nice. So, yeah, I had to actually quote tweets from like the SEO Twitter in my dissertation, so that was fun to figure out how to academically cite a tweet.
Cool. Just to go back to that company, so that was Turner Web Services?
Yeah, they're not around anymore.
Okay, so I was going to ask why you left, but I guess because they're not around anymore. Yeah. And now you're with a new company. I don't know if you want to mention the name or not.
Yeah, so I'm with D2 Advertising at like right now. I've been their SEO director for going on 3 years and about 2 weeks. I started the day before Black Friday at an automotive dealership, so always fun.
The automotive space has really recently, that parking lot, which you walk through, used to be completely filled with Hondas. Because the Honda delership was over there, and they used to rent space for the parking lot over here.
Yeah. Inventory shortages. Yeah. So it's been interesting to work with franchises going from like just small businesses, and especially like with the vendors. So, there's like OEM approved vendors for each. There's about 5, I think. There's like 4 or 5 like main ones, and one of them Cars.com owns, and it's a WordPress platform, and they're the only company that does a WordPress platform, which is super interesting, and everybody else makes like their own CMS and stuff. But learning about the world of like franchises, and like car dealerships are still like small businesses, but they're also franchises. So it's been like interesting because there's so many assets. There's like everything has to be compliant, and then like co-optable and a bunch of other like weird franchise terms. Luckily, I don't have to deal with the finances. I just deal with SEO. So
Right. It's fun. There are a lot of really well-known SEOs in the automotive SEO space. It's like a mixed hybrid of like very extreme local SEO with Google My Business stuff, as well as just general web search SEO, local targeting, and a lot of paid search as well.
So working on an auto site is kind of like working on like a Squarespace site like 5 years ago. You're like super limited in what you can do. And that's like the best way I think I can like accurately describe it. So like I can edit content, I can edit metadata, I can add in schema, I can add in some HTML and stuff. But aside from that, there's not much that you can like really do. And I think a lot of the platforms now, they have like their own like technical aspects and stuff built in. But the WordPress platform like is always the one with their own, like they just use like they put all these sites on WordPress, and you think like an auto site, like a big car dealership site would be like would overload the server, overload the platform, and then you'd have like all these errors. So it's been interesting to see and talk with some like devs and stuff that work on like the bigger CMSs that have all these like crazy like custom code and stuff. And I don't mess with anything above HTML. I'm a MySpace kid till I die. So
MySpace. When you made your first website on MySpace?
I was 8 when Facebook came out. So the same year that I like was old enough to actually like get on my laptop and go to MySpace, Facebook started. So I got a good like a year or so, I think, of like fame.
So like I was saying, there's like a bunch of like well-known, respected as well SEOs. One is like Greg Gifford, and the other one is Melissa Fach from who are now in the automotive space. I think Melissa just joined that space maybe a year or two ago, but Greg is like, that's his space. Are there any like SEOs that you follow in them that? Because I know with like the publication space, like news publishers, there are like these groups of like SEOs and publishers that stick together. But I don't know if there's the same thing for like automotive SEOs that you're aware of. No, and auto SEO, it's very like it's kind of like being in like a UCLA like frat. Right.
It's like there are some girls, but for the most part, usually like it's more like male dominated. But it's so funny because on like the actual like advertising side, like my agency that I work for is women led. We have I think now 2 guys that work for us. So every like vendor, every person that I call, usually like 8 out of 10 times is a woman. So it's very weird to see.
That's good.